What is up, Eastern Oregon? This is Dodzy, and this is your sports show for Thursday, October 26, 2023. This is all brought to you by Northwest Furniture and Mattress. Go check out the Daggett family. Go check out their showroom. They have it going on. They have all kinds of great furniture, mattresses, recliners, sofas, anything you need for your home. Northwest Furniture and Mattress. They want to make you comfortable in your own home. Let's see what's going on sports-wise. I talked about a lot of it in the AM Sports Report, so we're going to just cut to the chase here. I got a guest today, and it's basically the 2023-2024 preview show for the EOU men's basketball team. He's head coach Chris Kemp. Here it is. Kemp, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Good. Season number 3.
Yeah.
You finally got the title of interim taken off.
Yep. That was exciting. That was good for us, and yeah, hope to be here for a long time.
Do you think that affects recruiting? Like, honestly, like when you're like trying to get somebody and they see that title of interim, do you think that has any effect?
Well, I had a couple conversations about it in recruiting, but overall, I didn't feel like it was a reason we lost a kid or anything like that. A couple that we did get, we had conversations about it with, like, I remember Jaden Hanson. He was our top recruit 2 years ago, and I even kept it for another year, but that was something his mom asked me, I remember. I think maybe that was the only one I talked to a parent about it. Yeah. But it had come up a couple times, and yeah, I just kind of would have to reassure them that, no, I'm sticking around, and this is my job, and we're going to make it happen.
Well, you know me, I was saying all along, like, let's just do, I mean, to me, it was like the interim tag was just, I didn't even look at it like that.
Yeah. No, and I had just great support from my boss, Angie Weisenflue. Just with her support, I always felt comfortable. As long as we were on the same page, I was good to go. So yeah, I felt good about it, but it was nice to get it removed and hopefully, start building.
So we're coming off of a year where we make the national tournament. We ended up second in the CCC, right? Mm-hmm. But we lost one of the greatest players ever at EOU in my eyes, and second team All-American, Philip Malater. What have we done to kind of replace that? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, that's a good question. No, we loved Phil here, and the 2 years here, he was a special player, and he was fun to coach. Honestly, I think our whole goal was to add to our depth this year, which I think we did, and recruit from winning programs. And I think we got a couple different guys. I don't think we're going to try to fill his shoes with one guy, but I think our depth is at a whole nother level, and I think that we're going to be able to just share the basketball and not be dependent on one guy, because you saw, we had a little bit of a ceiling because as Phil goes, we went last year, and he got injured there at the end of the year, got that concussion and some stitches, and we had a rough couple last games.
Yeah, you saw that in the national tournament.
Yeah, he hadn't practiced. He had been in concussion protocol. He came out, I think, was like 0 for 8, 0 for 9 in that first half. And
rough first half.
We scored 12 points.
Yeah. Yeah, I was watching. I remember it very clearly. So basically we're gonna make up for the loss of 18 points a game with these new recruits. Who are they? Like, yeah. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, like I said, I think we got some guys from some winning programs. Johnny Hillman is a 5th-year senior. He's 2-time first-team all-defense in the Frontier Conference at Carroll College, won a lot of games. I mean, they had a Final Four run, and I think actually a national championship, lost in the national championship game. And so he won a ton of games there, was never a big offensive option for them, but I think he's way better than offensively than people know. We have a cool relationship because the year before I came to Eastern, when I was at North Idaho, his brother was a senior here, Michael Hillman.
Yeah.
And, it's a crazy story. I've told lots of people, but I got in a pretty serious car wreck, got hit by a car. His dad was my physical therapist.
Oh, wow.
And I had never even heard of Eastern Oregon. at the time, but I went to him for a whole year because I fractured a vertebrae in my neck, blew out my ACL, broke my clavicle. So I was going to him, and all we would talk about every day was Max McCullough, Eastern Oregon, and his dad would go to every game.
Yeah.
And so I think Johnny was only like a sophomore in high school then. But so I've kept that relationship with the family. And so when he graduated, Carroll doesn't necessarily have grad programs that worked for him. We kind of made it happen quickly. And he's a special kid and checks every box for us. So we only get him for a year, but we think he's going to fill those shoes. Garrett Hawks that we got from CSI, we think is a special player, older guy, mission kid. So we love having him as an older sophomore. And then we got some freshmen that I think are going to be really good. And we just have a lot of guys that have years of experience and still have years to play. Right. You know, Brennan Newsom from LC State, he's a fifth-year junior. Malachi, who we have, is a fifth-year junior. We got a bunch of old guys, which is cool. Riley, as you know, is a redshirt sophomore. Another Walla Walla kid we got, Nico Robin, is a fourth-year sophomore because of COVID and because
we can credit COVID for all of that.
Yeah,
I mean, so it's crazy.
We got a bunch of old guys that have a lot of experience with winning programs. Our freshman Kamal Muhammad went prep for a year, so he's a little older as a freshman. So we're excited. We're really excited.
I remember Kamal's first recruit trip to EOU, and I fell in love with him right then. I was like, oh, yeah. Because I'm like kind of old school, you know, like I like the old school bang, you know, in the paint and bigs, you know. And when I watched his video, I was like, oh, yeah, you know, like he's got kind of a little old school to him. Like, he really does.
Yeah, we started that relationship my first year before he went prep, but got him out on a visit, and we didn't have students here. It was kind of late in the summer. Decided that was his best option. There was really a winning program. They went on and won a ton of stuff. And we kind of just called him again and had him out the second time. And so we've loved Kamal ever since he was, you know, his senior year is when I met him.
So this team, you look at this year's team, the depth, you know, we've added all these new pieces, right? Who's taken like the leadership role? Like I feel like we kind of lacked that last year.
Yeah.
Philip wasn't real vocal. You know, he wasn't like the Max McCullough where more of, you know, like that leader. I mean, obviously he was the leader of the team.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he wasn't like super vocal. Who's taking that role this year?
Yeah, I think, you know, it's been a mix of the returners and a couple of those new guys that have a lot of experience. Preston and AJ for returners we've selected them as captains, and they've been, you know, they were here all summer, and both just spent a ton of time in the gym. I think got stronger, improved. AJ was literally in the gym twice a day all summer. Every time I was here, he was in there. So that was exciting to see. Adam Orr also stayed here for the summer, 6-year senior for him. So all those guys, returners, kind of knew what we were looking for. And then I think we added to it a ton with those, you know, and So our captains are going to be AJ, Preston, Johnny, and Malachi. So that's kind of a, you know, we're actually going to meet today with them and kind of have our first captain's meeting, but we're really trying to, you know, make an identity of toughness and unselfishness, and all those guys play that perfectly. So it's been fun. They're just a fun group to coach.
Yeah. Let's talk about this year. Goals. What are your goals for this year?
Yeah. So, you know, I think we were excited to make the national tournament last year. I think we got pretty close to our ceiling with that group, but we want to take that next step. We want to get to that final site in the national tournament, in that top 16, and then see where it goes from there. And we still have a goal to win the CCC. And if, you know, that bar is as high as any bar in the country, because College of Idaho, with what they return and defending national champions, got every first place vote to start the year.
Yeah.
We know where that bar is. So we think we have a group that can really go out and surprise some people and threaten for that. So those are our main goals. and we'll see where that all ends up. But this group, I've pushed them harder than any team I've ever pushed, and kind of seeing if we can find where that line is. I haven't found it yet. I mean, I've been a little uncomfortable sometimes with how hard I'm pushing them, honestly. But they're just so fun to coach because they just come back each day ready to go.
Yeah. In the national polls preseason that just came out, we got 64 points or something like that. So we received votes. Do you think that was a fair analysis of the team?
Yeah, I think so. I think the second place team in the CCC is usually in the top 25. I think in years past, but that's never been us. So we're kind of new to that realm. The Oregon Techs and the LC States are usually the ones up there. They have that kind of national name. So I don't put a ton of weight in all of that. Obviously, where you start doesn't matter. We'll have plenty of opportunities to prove ourselves as we go.
Yeah. And the big one for me is C of I. I mean, I always want you guys to beat C of I.
Yeah.
If I'm Coach Kemp, if I'm coach of this basketball team, that date is circled on my calendar.
Yeah.
Every year. You know what I mean? Like, just because it's that not only are they number one in the nation, but there's just that long, history between both of the teams. So we'll kick off the season in Montana against Montana Western. What are we doing to prep for that? Like,
that's an interesting one, just because they have a new coach and I think about 10, 12 new players. I mean, only like two holdovers.
A whole new team.
So it's going to be a little bit hard to know. So we're more worried about ourselves that way. We can draw on our experience from last year. We kind of got our butts handed to us last year there. Western ended up not being a very good team. I think won 10 or 12 games, but beat us by 20. Beat us pretty bad.
Yep.
We played Tech, who was ranked and a good team, and they beat us by 9 or something, but we did not leave that trip feeling real good. Hadn't really found our stride yet a little bit, but we've been pushing we want to go out and play good this weekend, that weekend. And we're trying to really emphasize what that's going to look like, how that's going to feel. We have some returners that have been there. We obviously get Johnny from Carroll, who he just has played for 4 years in the Frontier.
Right.
So, I'm hoping we'll be well prepared, but we're worrying about us right now a little bit more. And we know Tech pretty well too, but they're, again, in that same poll, they're number 6.
Yeah.
And that's an hour from their place.
And that's the next day, right? That's on the Montana trip. So we'll play Western on the 4th, Tech on the 5th.
3rd, 4th, yeah.
Yeah, 3rd, 4th of November.
Yeah.
And then let's talk about the Gonzaga game this year. We're going back to Gonzaga again, which is, we made it last year without any big incidents, but that is where Max McCullough ended his career on a non-contact ACL tear. We've talked about this before. What do you tell the guys about that game?
It is a tough one for us as coaches to game plan, or I don't even know if it's game plan. You just kind of, you almost tell the kids, go have fun. They really do enjoy it. They look forward to it. One of the conversations I have the most in recruiting probably is, are you guys going to go play Gonzaga again?
Right.
And
the kennel, baby.
And I always say no, because I don't think we're going to.
Right. And then you get that phone call or that email.
That call. And so it's a big, for fundraising sake, it's big for us.
Huge.
And it's a great experience. Obviously, kids dream about playing in an atmosphere like that. They have every game sold out, every seat. The students will all be there. It'll be their second home game. It's a real game for them. It's an exhibition for us. So it's full go. So it's cool. It's a good trip for our guys.
Yeah.
And it's a way to, we go have some nice meals there and live it up a little bit.
I've been on the trip with you 2 years ago, and my favorite part about that whole trip was that night, the night we got there, we went on a walk, right? And I gave the camera to one of the players. I think BP maybe, and they held the camera, and we just walked down all the way to the school from the, and there just happened to be a janitor working, and he let us in.
Yep.
And he let us just walk around the whole kennel. I'd never been in there before. And it was the experience. And then when you step out onto this court, you know, this was coming off of COVID, first game back, Chet's first game in the kennel.
Number one in the country.
That place was rocking. That literally shakes, and you can feel it. So it's like a whole different. A lot of these guys, that's the only experience they'll get like that in their whole life.
Yeah.
Which I mean, for me, you know, obviously we had 1 year of bad luck with injuries and stuff, but I mean, I say take that every opportunity you get.
No, for sure. And you know, that atmosphere is unbeatable, and our guys, you still can learn a lot from that, and to see how you react mentally. And that's what we talk about at halftime and postgame. It's like, what's your mental state like? How do you guys feel in this atmosphere? Is it just basketball? Like, you see after a few minutes, it becomes just about basketball again, and then we can just play a little bit. That first year was a little different because when Max went down, I had only coached 3 games in my career.
I know.
We were looking really good. We could talk about those first couple games. I still remember specifically, but their orthopedic guy came up to us in a timeout and said, "It's his ACL. He's done." And like,
I was in the locker room with him.
We almost just like sat down. Like the guys were like, "What's up, coach?" Like I couldn't gather my thoughts, and so Max and I are still close, and we get to talk about that all the time, about what we could have been. But
I'm just happy. Well, obviously, I'm not happy about the injury, but I'm glad that it didn't happen until his 5th year. He got a full career, arguably the greatest player in EOU history. I mean, I could argue it with anybody.
Yeah.
He got a full career, at least. You know what I mean? And that was a tough, you know, it was just a tough game. You saw Paul dislocate his elbow. You saw Preston take a shot to the head and get stitches. I mean, that game. And you know the craziest part about it is on the video we were shooting before we went to the stadium, right? Right at breakfast. And I asked you, "What do you want to get out of today?" And you just looked at me and said, "Just nobody get hurt."
Yeah.
And it was like, "Oh, your 3rd game of the year, and really you're gonna do this to me?" But we obviously overcame it, and you know, it would have been nice to see Max and Philip play together, though. Yeah. As you know.
No, and that, you know, we pieced it together, and we still were able to have a pretty successful year that year. Peaked at the right time, lost a tough one, but yeah, would have been cool to see with those two of the most, you know, probably prolific scorers we've had around here for a while. I know there's been some in the past too, but those two would have been, you know, arguably one of the best backcourts in the country.
The best. Yeah. The best. I would say. Let's talk about your assistant coaches. Who you got working with you?
Yeah, so Q's back for his 3rd year, which I'm super excited about. We work well together. Our relationship has grown. He knows a lot of times of what I'm looking for before I even have to say it. His skill development side, you know, coming from being a 4-star recruit in high school, you know, recruited by every West Coast team in the country, transitioning that into coach kids and coach guys on, you know, what that looks like. He's just grown by leaps and bounds in that, and not just, you know, to play is one thing, but to actually try to get other people to understand it. So he's grown a ton. So we're excited to have him back. And then a friend of mine from Arizona, Brian Adams, will be our assistant. Kobe moved home back to Pocatello. But this is kind of a cool one because I met Brian in college. He's been coaching at the high school level in Arizona for the last probably 10 years. And we had a stint there in a couple of years when I was coaching at the high school level, that we kind of grew our relationship, and we've just stayed in touch. And he moved his whole family up here. He's got a full-time job but works fully remotely, which is awesome. So he's kind of just getting into the whole college game, but really eager, really good on the, you know, keeping stats and doing some things that maybe aren't my strength, which has been cool. So that's been good. I think that we all have a great relationship working together, and, you know, we'll see where it leads.
Couple more questions and I'll get you out of here. If you had to choose like one thing, what's the greatest strength of this team this year?
Man, I don't know. I have what I hope it is. I like so much of what this team is. I have really high hopes for. So much of what I want to do is I just want to go do it. I don't want to talk about it. But I know our biggest improvement is our toughness, and
You're talking mental toughness.
Mental.
Yeah.
Our mental toughness is our biggest improvement over last year.
Nice.
I think, and I would say, and our physical toughness. I mean, we got some guys that really play with a motor and are physically tough. We honestly, our first month, we kept doing these rebounding drills, and I had to kind of stop because it just turned into a tackling fest. Like guys would kind of get a little, and we just start tackling each other, and we'd have every guy mad. And I kind of, you find that balance, you kind of like it.
Yeah.
But we've never had a team like that where guys just literally get tackled and get up and say, next play.
Okay.
So they're fun to coach. Like I said, we've been trying to push them and see if we can find where that line is, and we haven't found it yet.
What's the one thing that we really need to improve on?
I think we have to figure out, who's going to take the big shots for us and who's going to be kind of the guy down the stretch. As you know, that's where you feel because half the time the shots that Phil would take were not great shots on paper if you see him, but he's a tough shot maker.
Yeah.
And so we had to just let him ride a little bit. I think this team has to see who are going to be those guys, because even if they came from winning programs, had 5 years, Johnny never had the ball in his hands at the end of games when he had some big time players with him. Our kid Garrett, who we love, he was kind of that role player and just filled his role great, shot 40% from three, but we think he can come make big shots for us. And even Preston taking that next step, and AJ and these seniors.
I think Adam's going to hit some big shots this year.
Yeah, we're going to give Adam every opportunity. I mean, he was super efficient. We were really felt pretty successful in how the looks we got him, but then once he gets going, you don't even have to get him a good look. You just have to get him the ball, and he can hit it from anywhere. So we think Adam's a huge weapon too. And so that's what I'm saying. I think it's going to be different guys on different nights, but we need to see how we're going to react when we get in games. That's the unknown is, how comfortable are we going to be in those situations? And because of the character of this team, that might be their biggest strength is their character. We got these old guys that just know how to do school. I've never
been
had
around
one
for 5 years.
Yeah, I've never had someone late. It's never been something we've even had to talk about. Any meeting, anything we do, everyone's there ready to go. So that's what makes them so fun to coach. So maybe our character is our strongest thing. And I think because of that, once we get in those tight situations, I truly believe we're going to make plays.
Yeah, nice. I like that. I really do. Last question, and I'll get you out of here. For you personally, what's your favorite thing about coaching?
Man, that's a good one. I think two things. I want to have a positive effect on guys' lives, and I truly feel called to coach that way. I want them to leave here better fathers, better husbands, and able to have a positive impact on our world. And I truly believe that's my calling is to win games, but do it that way. And guys leave being better people. But also I have to say, I just love to compete. Everything we do is competing, and you can't get that. It's as close of a feeling as you can get to playing is coaching and getting to compete with a group and grow something and build a program. And I love competing. So on a night-to-night basis of getting to play games and do what I do, I feel very blessed and to have the opportunity. So I think growing better people, getting the right dudes in here, building a culture, but also competing, and that is all part of that culture.
Yeah, winning is important, but being a good person is so much more important.
And we think we can do both, and we have that example. I mean, we could go down the line at Eastern with Kaki and Angie and all the success.
Great coaches, great.
Ben and the success he's having with the track. I mean, there's just a lot of good people.
Yeah, I mean,
we can go down the line.
It's just getting better.
Soccers are doing. Yeah,
I love
it's fun.
Eastern Oregon. He's EOU men's basketball head coach Chris Kemp. I'm Dodsey. Coach Kemp, I appreciate you.
Thanks, Dodsey.
Thanks, Coach Kemp. I appreciate you. Man, let's go have a great season. Let's win the CCC and make that national tournament. None of this is possible without Northwest Furniture and Mattress. Big Red Rocking Chair on Elm, off Adams in LeGrand. Eastern Oregon, that's all I got for you on a Thursday. I appreciate you. I'm Dodzy, and I'm out.